Hello everyone, this is Laura from Astropositive, and I'm glad to welcome you here to discuss the week from the 29th of December 2025 to the 4th of January 2026. So this week sits on the threshold between the 2 years, and therefore it is loaded with expectations, with wishes for the future, and also with New Year's resolutions. So let's see together how it will live up to expectations. So let's take a look at the chart for the 29th of December for starters. You see that this week finds us with all the inner planets except Mercury in Capricorn. Even Juno entered Capricorn on the 28th. This is an exciting configuration because the inner planets are preparing to unite. Venus and Mars will start soon a new cycle together by forming a conjunction in Capricorn. And this will happen in the middle of January. Venus and Mars both past the critical position in square to Saturn and Neptune, so they can all breathe a sigh of relief and move forward unimpeded. Okay. Did you feel the overall change in energy? Ever since the last new moon in Sagittarius, there has been this noticeable change in energy. Last week on the 19th, we had a new moon in Sagittarius that had Venus and Juno grouped together with a new moon in Sagittarius, squaring Saturn and Neptune. The new moon has already passed the square to Saturn and was headed to the square to Neptune. Venus was in the starting blocks, on the verge of perfecting the square to Saturn. At that time, the mood was overall sober. We became fully aware of the challenges that we had to face and the obstacles that we had to stand up to. The square to Neptune was looming and amplifying a feeling of loss and confusion. At the time of the new moon, the plan for this new beginning was a bit hazy, and we could not see clearly ahead. That could have made us quite fearful of the future, because after all, we were in the midst of this transition of all these difficulties that seemed endless. Mars had marched ahead of the other planets and led the way into Capricorn, so he was the first to escape the grip of Saturn and Neptune, so we had started already to act, to prepare, even though emotionally we were still in the throes of pessimism and maybe fear. Now we lived through it, and it is all behind us. The Sun and Venus, in the meantime, moved on to Capricorn, rolled up their sleeves, and got down to work. We can say that we don't feel battered and beaten anymore. We have licked our wounds, have risen from the ashes. We now have acquired like a winner mentality. We can all proudly wear a badge of courage and for having lived through this and come victoriously on the other side. Maybe we are not yet right now in full celebratory mode, but we can certainly congratulate ourselves for having overcome a difficult situation with panache. We have come to terms with reality because planets are now in Capricorn. It is what it is, and we are now convinced that we can overcome, we can come on top of the situation, provided we stick it out and display our staying power. Capricorn is famous for its realism and common sense because it is a patient, persevering sign who knows where he wants to get and is ready to put in the work to get there. After Sagittarius' recklessness, we can all feel now more like settling. We find we can have the patience to put up with any difficulty, or indeed that difficulties are much easier to bear after all. You can see by looking at the chart that Mars, Sun, Venus are now in Capricorn and are free to move forward unencumbered because there are no heavy planets to throw a spanner in the wheels anymore. Actually, not for quite some time. Mercury is still lagging behind and still has to confront Saturn and Neptune. That could be like the last test of our resilience. But these aspects alone, of Mercury to Saturn and Neptune, are not enough to spoil the good mood. Venus is getting ready to meet Mars, its counterpart, divine counterpart, as it's said. So this will happen towards the middle of January and will put in motion a new cycle in our love life. This will revive romantic feelings, ignite passion, and also breathe new life into our creative passions and hobbies. It will be a great time for discovering what we can really enjoy doing and expressing our creativity anew. Right now, this time has not yet arrived, but we can already feel it, in the air. And the hurdles that Mercury still has to face are no match to this joyful and primeval energy. So this is the main message this week, that the Sun, Venus, and Mars are roaming free and headed towards an exciting reunion. But at the same time, there is more, actually, because already at the beginning of the week, Mercury, Venus, and Mars are out of bounds. And this will happen all through the week. Even the moon will become out of bounds during the week at the very end of it. So when out of bounds, planets are venturing into extreme declinations, into extreme latitudes that the sun never reaches. And therefore, they are able to express a more eccentric, spirited side of themselves than otherwise, because they have escaped the sun's governance. So now we can expect some extraordinary new ideas that will feel like downloads, directly from out of nowhere. We can express ourselves more forcefully. We can show sides of ourselves that we usually take pains to cover up, perhaps. We can devise far-reaching plans because Mercury is in Sagittarius. Our tastes are more adventurous. Maybe we dare to indulge more with Venus or attempt more with Mars. Planets of action. Just try and make sure that you don't tread on anybody's toes, because with all this assertiveness, because Mars is out of bounds, and all your assertiveness can collide with other people's views on the matter. Anyway, it's a great time to be alive, especially after the gloomy days, weeks, and even months that we just been through. Doesn't freedom taste just great? On the 3rd, another very important event, we have a full moon that will occur on the Cancer-Capricorn axis at 13 degrees. Full moons are always a kind of culmination, and this promises to be quite a memorable full moon. For one thing, it is widely conjunct Jupiter, and this is already a splendid omen for harmony, good understanding, good vibes, wider horizons. Our spirits will soar, likely, with this conjunction, and we will perceive new perspectives for ourselves that we wouldn't have dared to think of before. In Cancer, this warm, fuzzy feeling of satisfaction and optimism will pervade domestic and family life in particular. Family ties can be strengthened. We will feel more nurturing and more caring, and will extend an olive branch if any family feud was going on. The only danger might come from our appetites in Cancer, with the opulent dinners of the holiday season, so just take care. The full moon also sits at the midpoint of Venus and Mars, closely opposing both. This feels steamy hot. Our libido is back with a vengeance, and in Capricorn we mean business. This won't be any casual flirt, but rather a long-lasting and well-thought-out commitment. We will choose, preferably stable, reliable partners to whom we can look up to, perhaps, and to whom we can also respect. Maybe partners that are a bit older than ourselves, as Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and this describes maturity. Juno, the planet of commitment, is conjunct Mercury at the time of the full moon, which also speaks of a public engagement, maybe signing a contract. Let's not forget that Capricorn is an earth sign, and as such is concerned with the material plane, with the body, and this promises quite a fully satisfying, sensual experience. Outside of romantic relationships, this can very well be a business partnership or professional contract that highly motivates us. And as I said before, creative juices will be flowing, and it will be a great time to start a creative enterprise. Maybe, be it in an artistic line of work or a new line of work, and maybe launching a new business. You should go ahead and take some risks because, we know that Capricorn is overly cautious, but Jupiter with the full moon actually ensures that expansion will be a good thing at this moment. Projects involving a team, a partner, are all favored because of the moon's trine to the North Node. And this trine actually also basically says that whatever we start now is aligned with the right path forward. We can get creative, actually, with ways to further our projects. And actually, we can also climb more easily the social ladder. Ambition and the quest for a higher and more prominent status will be encouraged. We will all have to shift for ourselves in Capricorn, but we will do it successfully. Okay, so now for the daily transits, let's see what each day has in store for us this week. Okay, so on the 29th, we start the day quite on a good note because the moon is trining Mercury and Juno. And this is quite favorable for all kinds of communication, exchanges, new ideas. Overall, we feel optimistic and we can express ourselves efficiently. And this is good because right afterwards, the moon is squaring Pluto and things get a little bit more serious, more pressure is applied, our daily tasks feel a bit more heavy, and responsibilities are heavier too. Yet we can navigate it quite to our satisfaction because right afterwards the moon is trining Venus. So we can feel quite happy with ourselves at the end of the day. We feel that we can finally relax and enjoy ourselves after a day well spent. Venus is also squaring Ceres all through the day. Ceres is ruling food basically, and also parenthood, motherhood. So on one hand, we can experience perhaps a nice gastronomic experience. We can experiment with cooking, perhaps a new recipe, and on the other hand, we can enjoy our parental role. If we are a parent, we can enjoy very good relationships to our kids. At the very end of the day, we can see that Mars is sextiling the nodes at the beginning of the 30th of December. So with Mars sextile the nodes, this speaks of good cooperation, great teamwork. We feel energetic and ready to tackle whatever it is that we have to do together with others. At the beginning of on the 30th of December, the moon is also trining the sun, so energies at play are all in balance, everything is in equilibrium, and things are going overall well. Also, the moon is sextiling the nodes and trining Mars. So we have basically this nice triangle configuration. With this, we feel, as I said, energetic, in great shape, ready to go for it, and with a sextile to the nodes, whatever meetings, reunions will go well. Probably any meeting will end up with a favorable conclusion. The problem is on the 30th that Mercury is meeting Saturn by a square aspect. This is what I was speaking about before at the very beginning of this week's description, because Mercury still had to meet the square to Saturn and the square to Neptune, and this is the square to Saturn, which basically speaks of obstacles in communication, restrictions in communication. Maybe we cannot make ourselves heard correctly. Maybe we are dwelling a lot on negative things. Maybe our perspective is a bit skewed and we cannot really see the whole picture. We might miss the forest for the trees, as they say. We might concentrate, unfortunately, on details instead of trying to take in the wider picture. So the trick with this aspect is try to stay optimistic, try to envision, the synthesis of the situation and not the details exclusively. And also try to be patient. Actually take advantage perhaps of the positive side of it, which is that we can focus very well and actually concentrate on mental work. It's actually a very favorable aspect to study. So actually for all the students right now that are preparing for exams, they should be happy, because the square is coming at the right moment. At the end of the day, we have the moon sextile Jupiter, and this is great because that means we navigated through the day in a successful way. We can pat ourselves on the back and be quite pleased with ourselves. At the beginning on the 31st of December, the moon is sextiling Saturn. And this is also good because that means, well, we worked in a disciplined way, and we can be, well, satisfied with the results of our work. We were serious about it. We got the situation well in hand. But that won't be the case throughout the day because right afterwards, the moon is actually conjunct Uranus. Whoever else. So Uranus, as always, is bringing unexpected events. With the moon conjunct Uranus, there's quite a lot of tension in the air. This can feel quite nerve-wracking. Perhaps the preparations for New Year's Eve are not going according to plan. Perhaps, some unexpected guest is arriving. And with Mercury there, also quincunx Uranus, maybe unexpected trips to the store, last-minute shopping, whatever, is needed, and quite a lot of flexibility is expected of us. This can be a bit stressful, but at the end of the day, the moon is trining Pluto. So, again, we end the day on a positive note because we managed to solve the situation and actually come up with a head held high. Okay, then there's New Year's Eve, which actually goes actually fine because the moon is squaring the nodes at the beginning of the 1st of January, meaning, okay, social situations, the sun is sextiling the nodes, so actually we're gonna enjoy a lot being with friends, being with family, and celebrating New Year's Eve and the entrance in 2026 on a positive note. The only shadow in this picture is due to Mercury actually squaring Neptune. Some things are not clear. Some communications are actually a bit hazy, a bit foggy. Messages don't come across clearly. Maybe we don't know ourselves what to expect, and maybe we feel a little bit of apprehension, at the beginning of this new year. Whatever it can bring us. If we are to judge by 2025, when not was was so good at the end of the year, maybe we can fear that the same is going to happen in 2026. Well, let me reassure you, this won't be the case. The overall picture is quite different. Okay, and now for the 2nd of January. At the beginning of the day, we see already that Venus is sextiling the nodes, which is great. That describes a great start of the year that is quite social. We are deciding, to have a great time for ourselves. We are decided to actually enjoy ourselves and make the most of what this beginning of the year has to offer. Again, there is this square of the moon to Saturn and Neptune. This Saturn and Neptune conjunction is still there, looming over the celebrations and actually throwing a little bit of a cold shower on it. But this is only a transitory aspect. It's only a moon aspect, so it's fleeting. It only lasts for a few hours. We might feel a little bit deflated, a little bit tired from having had a party, and maybe we have to rest a little bit. Right afterwards, the moon is opposing Mercury, so we're again, up to it and having a lot of exchanges and communications again, moving around, having lots of things to do, being quite busy. And the accent at the end of the day is put on Juno because Mercury is conjunct Juno, the moon is opposing Juno, and therefore this means that our relationship to our partner is under the spotlight. There's a lot of communication concerning this partnership. We have to make very clear the terms of this partnership, and maybe some things need to be adjusted still. And actually the best way to do it is communicate with the partner and make it clear, our point of view, our needs in the situation, what we expect of the other. This is a great idea to start by clarifying all this at the beginning of the year. On the 3rd of January, the moon is trining the nodes, so again, quite a social day and quite a good omen for any social activities. And then the moon goes on to oppose Venus, the Sun, and Mars, and conjunct Jupiter, because the 3rd of January is the full moon. And as I said before, overall, this is a great day, actually, a great full moon that will propel us towards more optimism, wider horizons, new perspective, lots of confidence in the future. It will be quite a change from the overall atmosphere of the end of 2025, and a very welcome change too. On the 4th of January, the moon, at the very beginning of the day, the moon is squaring Chiron, and this can be a little bit of a sore spot. Maybe, well, with Chiron, our vulnerabilities are exposed, and we don't feel quite up to the task and quite happy with ourselves. We can feel a bit ashamed of something, you know. We can feel ashamed of our bodies. We can feel ashamed of ourselves for some imaginary guilt or, shortcoming. So the lesson here is really to be more accepting of ourselves in the end. We're only human, and it's human to err, and errare humanum est. So, this too shall pass, okay? Let's accept it and move on. The moon right afterwards is trining Saturn, and this speaks of more discipline, of a serious state of mind that is ready to go down to work. Well, New Year's Eve is over, celebrations are over, and now it's time to go back to work, perhaps. With the moon sextiling Uranus, we are actually pleased with this, because something new has just happened, and we are ready to welcome the new. We are ready to, start maybe in a new line of work, perhaps. The moon is trining Neptune, and we are a bit idealistic, and maybe we see things somewhat with rosy-colored glasses, but nonetheless, all this optimism that is inherited from the full moon is quite welcome, especially at the end of the week when the moon is opposing Pluto, and this can feel quite heavy. This can be quite demanding of us. This demands a lot of energy, of taking responsibilities squarely in our hands, and it is good that the full moon just happened. That could show us what the future can bring and will bring us, and that could actually make us more optimistic for the year to come and for the month to come as well. Okay, so this is what I had for you guys. I wish you a very happy 2026. I know I haven't done yet, what I promised I will do, which is a forecast sign by sign for 2026. I seriously promise again and engage myself to do it very soon. It will come very soon. So hang in there, and I will see you all for the next forecast. See you soon. Bye-bye. Take care. And Merry 2026, everyone. Bye-bye.